because this is one of those jaw-dropping segments. Like, this is one of those segments that really sums up our position when we say the United States is the most propagandized country in the world. So, as we know, the majority of the world has turned on Israel. They don't like Israel because, I don't know, something about the world population hates seeing children being bombed. It's something about bombing hospitals that turn off people in the international sphere, right? And you want to know whose fault that is, Carl? That people are against genocide? According to CNN, it's China's fault. So there's going to be a lot to say. Feel free to interrupt anytime in this video because it's absurd. It's only in less than 4 minutes. So let's watch it. I'm interested to hear your take on it.
A troubling trend: anti-Semitism surging on Chinese social media since the deadly October 7th Hamas terror attack on Israel. The internet in China is, of course, heavily censored. Posts critical of President Xi Jinping and the Communist Party are usually removed swiftly. So why then would doctored photos of Israeli flags combined with swastikas, as you can see there, be allowed to remain? Well, some experts believe that is no accident. In fact, they suspect that China is exploiting the hateful content to hurt the United States. Will Ripley is out front.
As the Israel-Hamas war rages, a battleground of opinions on China's tightly controlled social media. A surge of online hate, very anti-Israel and, in many cases, anti-Semitic. The Israeli.
What do you guys actually think that means? Do you guys think that they hate Jews on Chinese social media, or do you think they're criticizing Israel? I think it's obvious, right?
Exactly, exactly. They're right now. The worst thing they have done is it's actually anti-Semitic. What they're doing, they're equating the state of Israel and the action of state of Israel with Jews everywhere. You know, talking about anti-Semitism, that is anti-Semitism. I mean, the Chinese people are the last people on earth you can be accused of hating Jews. You know, go talk to Chinese aunties. They love Jews, you know, because in the Chinese society, there's in the Chinese society, they love Jewish people because they see the Jewish people, they're educated, they're hardworking, and they know how to make money. You know, all these values that the Chinese people themselves they highly value. So if you go to a Chinese bookstore, you know, you're gonna find the books like how to send your how to educate your children like the Jewish people or something like that, you know, because they think Jewish people are smart. They want to emulate that. But the fact that, look, it's simple. Chinese people love Jews. They hate Israel for Israeli action on Palestine. It's as simple as that. And again, like they're not really helping themselves by equating Israeli actions in Gaza with a Jewish identity. That is by itself is anti-Semitism.
Sorry, I'm gonna say this with my chest out, 100%, and I'm gonna continue to say it. As someone who's been to multiple Palestinian protests ever since October 7th, as someone who's surrounded by Palestinians and people who are engaged in the movement, I will say with 100% confidence, I have never, ever seen an anti-Semitic comment from these people, ever. And I mean in the sense of hating Jewish people. Go ahead, Carl.
And many of these rallies I have attended in the United States supporting Palestine, there are many American Jews. There are many American Jews who are supporting Palestine. And you know, like
absolutely.
Survey after survey, 40% of American Jews thinks that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, right? And like but these people, they are really trying to shoehorn the message that somehow being anti-Israel, you are anti-Jewish, which is complete, and to the point that they're saying that Jewish Voice for Peace is an anti-Semitic organization. The Jewish Voice for Peace is now an anti-Semitic organization. I mean, this is totally bonkers. And on top of that, this is a mask off moment. CNN is among one of these mainstream medias that constantly hectoring China, saying oh, China has censorship, China has a heavily controlled internet, blah blah blah. But right now they're saying, China, why aren't you censor your internet? That's your job. Do your job. Censor the internet. You know what? This is one instance where the Chinese citizens happen to have more freedom than the U.S. citizens on their social media. They can criticize Israel's actions without fearing repercussions of being blocked or suspended, unlike say Twitter or being demonetized like on YouTube.
So they have criticisms for China for censoring too much, and now they criticizing China for not censoring enough. It's not supposed to make sense. Not supposed to make sense.
Yeah,
but go ahead,
Carl. And this is the time, like, whenever I talk about Israel-Palestine conflict on my YouTube, my video will get automatically demonetized by the AI algorithms, right? Like, I have to go appeal. Sometimes the appeal gets approved. Sometimes it gets overturned. But we are facing increasing censorship in the Western social media platform over the Israel-Palestine conflict. And now they're going to say, oh, that's not enough. We want the world to follow our example of censorship. Everyone must crack. I'm sorry. China is not United States. China is not the West. China does not bear the burden of guilt over Holocaust, right? Yeah, you can't tell the Chinese what to think on this issue. You can't say, like, look, we are just an observer from far away, and we just thought it was wrong to kill women and children. It's simple as that. Yeah.
And if you think they wasn't saying the quiet part out loud enough, they get worse. They like, just in case you didn't get what we're saying here, we're gonna ramp it up. We already made it 40 seconds in. We almost done now. Let's continue. It get worse, if I remember right.
Controlled social media. A surge of online hate, very anti-Israel and in many cases anti-Semitic. The Israeli embassy in Beijing says. Matt Trush is a Jewish American businessman living in China with thousands of followers on social media.
For centuries, China has been the biggest friend of the Jews. And until recently, that's now all changed.
Why do you think that is?
Why do you think that is? I mean, China loves Jews, but somehow recently that's all changed. I don't know what could that
Who knows? What kind of global event? What kind of military campaign or any event may change people's opinion about Israel? It's almost like you guys did this to yourselves, but let's continue to watch this cope. It gets even funnier.
CNN uncovered a hornet's nest of hateful content surging after October 7th.
Based, by the way. You guys see people stepping on the Israeli flag? To me, that's pretty based, and I think that's a very just reaction to a country committing a genocide. That's just me, but I'll let it continue. That's my bad. I was letting it play. I'll let it play some more. This segment is so funny to me.
Surging after October 7th. Criticizing Israel's military response in Gaza to the Hamas terror attacks.
So are they not allowed to do that? They said they criticizing Israel's military response to Hamas. Are you saying they're not allowed to do that? But I'll let it continue.
Remain untouched by China's usually heavy-handed online censors.
For a person like me, a Westerner, to post on China's TikTok, highly censored TikTok, I have to be very, very careful. And yet, these Chinese bloggers, these hate bloggers, seem to have free reign.
Some online users combining the Israeli flag and Nazi symbols.
Pretty base to me.
I see nothing wrong with that picture. I see nothing wrong with that picture.
Do you hear anything wrong on this segment? Is there anything here that you think offensive? Like, everything they're complaining about is 100% legitimate as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, thumbs up to that Chinese bro stepping on Israeli flag. I mean, the caption, I think, in Chinese is, "This is a pretty good carpet." I agree. It's a nice doormat.
Oh, that's good.
It's a nice doormat. Yeah.
Oh, man, I bet Chinese social media is so good. I wish I can read Mandarin or whatever. But let's continue.
Posted by netizens, the German embassy in China says the images are, quote, degrading to human dignity, and calls the posters ignorant idiots or shameless bastards. Some
So
people
they're bad because they post about a genocide and criticizing the country committing genocide, but the country literally bombing kids, you have no words to say about them. Very interesting.
buying Israeli flags on Taobao, China's online shopping platform, just to step on them and post the pictures online. Even the Shanghai Jewish Refugees Museum, a longtime symbol of Chinese Jewish history, facing a flood of social media comments demanding its demolition. Adding fuel to the online firestorm, some state media outlets accusing Israel of committing war crimes.
Oh no, Carl. People on Chinese social media, I don't know if Carl got disconnected. He probably return here soon. But you guys see how they're accusing China of committing war crimes. Oh my God, the insane amount of anti-Semitism. I'm literally shaking on behalf of my Jewish brothers and sisters. Do you guys see why Israel puts Jewish people in harm? You guys see why Jewish people want to disassociate themselves from the Jewish state of Israel? Israel made Jewish people unsafe around the world because their insistence that Judaism equals Zionism make people think that Jews support war crimes that is going on in Israel. There is nothing that made Jewish people more unsafe than Zionism in Israel. But let's continue. I'm sure Carl probably just had some tech issues. He may return, may not. Either way, it was great to have him on. But let's continue.
Beijing has not condemned Hamas, but has called for Israel to stop its, quote, collective punishment in Gaza.
I won't play that part again because it was mid-pause, but you hear what they said? They said that China has not condemned Hamas, but they went to end the bombing of children. And they say that as a bad thing. Here, Carl again. Yeah, we got Carl. Go.
My electricity went out for a second, so
Yeah, it's all good. We about to wrap up here, so I appreciate your time today. We almost done here. I'm gonna play that last part because you missed it. Once again, this whole segment is hilarious. I'll play it. I don't want to spoil it. I want to get your reaction.
Okay.
Even the Shanghai Jewish Refugees Museum, a longtime symbol of Chinese Jewish history, facing a flood of social media comments demanding its demolition. Adding fuel to the online firestorm, some state media outlets accusing Israel of committing war crimes. Beijing has not condemned Hamas, but has called for Israel to stop its, quote, collective punishment in Gaza.
They did condemn Hamas, Carl.
What's wrong with that position? I see that's a perfect reasonable position for calling a ceasefire to a stop to punish to commit genocide against children and women. What I don't understand. And they do that subtle media manipulation. They're all like there's some online poster calling for demolition of the Chinese Jewish museum in Shanghai, but immediately they went to like explosion, Israeli attacks in Palestine. It's actual demolition. It's actual demolition of Palestinian houses and mosques and home. I mean, this is obscene.
So there's a viral tweet. I wish I can get credit. It is not my thought. It's a banger though. It's a fucking banger where they said anti-Semitism used to be where people hate Jewish people. Now anti-Semitism is where Jewish Zionists hate. That's the people. That's what they call people they hate. I already butchered it, but that's not my thought. It's an absolute banger of a tweet. Anti-Semite, I mean, these are the people that Israelis hate. So this is a geopolitical position that people can take, that Hamas has the legal right, as laid out by the UN Charter, to resist their criminal occupier. They ain't doing anything wrong. Israel needs to stop engaging in collective punishment. That is a war crime laid out by the UN Charter. That's a 100% legitimate position, and it's the position of anyone who respects international law and actually know what international law says. But if you take that position, that alone makes you anti-Semitic. Do you understand the kind of psychopath extremists we are dealing with? This is my last. That's my last interruption. I'll let it play all the way through, and I'll get your last thoughts, Carl, and then we can wrap up. I'll let it play all the way through this time. Promise. Oh, here we go.
Experts even suggesting China may be using anti-Jewish hate as a weapon against Washington. Israel's biggest backer.
It helps facilitate the Chinese government's foreign policy agenda, which ultimately is to see the U.S. as the enemy trying to undermine China.
She says recent statements by China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi suggest an ulterior motive.
We have always firmly defended the legitimate rights and interests of Arab and Muslim countries.
A deliberate diplomatic strategy influencing how Chinese citizens perceive the Israel-Hamas conflict. If there's one thing we know about Chinese social media, it is very tightly controlled. Even material that is deemed marginally sensitive to the Chinese Communist Party often gets censored. So the relative lack of censorship around this anti-Semitic, hate-filled content does raise questions tonight about whether this behavior is being at least tacitly approved by the Chinese government. And this, of course, raising concerns, Erica, amongst the Jewish community in China, that this is now a new reality they have to confront.
This guy is foaming at the mouth, and he's not even reporting inside mainland China. He's on Taiwan because he got kicked. The CNN got kicked out to Taiwan, so they can't go back to mainland China to report. But again, this is what's wrong with the position of China. What's wrong with the position of the Chinese netizens? They all seem pretty base to me. I mean, like, the guy even admitted, the Chinese-Jewish relationship was very good until recently. I don't know what happened. For some reason, crazy. Suddenly, they just turned on us. No, it's to the Israeli response. They're specifically against Israeli action in Gaza, and just stop that. It's very simple. Just stop it, and then maybe you can people can go back to their life. But first, it's mind-boggling. The guy really is like, oh, China, why don't you do your job? Censor.
Yeah. Now, do you guys see why Nancy Pelosi called those Palestinian protesters Chinese? And I had a conversation with Misty on the Misty Winston show yesterday where we were talking about the Pelosi thing. And I asked Misty, because I was torn because we know politicians say stuff they don't really believe. But I asked her because I can see it both ways. Do you guys really believe Nancy Pelosi, believe those people are secretly Chinese? Or is she doing propaganda? I see it both ways. Someone like Gavin Newsom, the young, more sharp young people, they know the propaganda. They know what to say. But I legitimately think that there's a part of Nancy Pelosi. Remember, she's in her office all day, not doing anything. She watched CNN. She got CNN on her cable all day. That's what all the politicians do, by the way, if you don't know. They got advisors. They got people work for them. They do all the work. The politicians look sexy on camera. So Pelosi's watching CNN all day. They watching MSNBC all day. And she knows the plan. Your plan is to spread anti-China propaganda. Your goal is to spread Russiagate. But what happens when you've been doing that for a few years? What happens when you've been doing it for years and your brain starts to be riddled by dementia, right? Then maybe there's a part of you that starts to believe it. Maybe they really start to believe that people are pro-Palestine because of Chinese propaganda and social media. So I think, and this is my last thought, I'll pass to you, Carl, that the Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi's, the Joe Bidens, I think Joe Biden do believe they're like Chinese spies in our government, and like they really believe it because they're dementia-ridden propaganda puppets.
They just start to believe their own propaganda. It's not even dementia. They just start to believe their own propaganda. And the real question that begs is, why is Pelosi still in office? I mean, she's like trying to follow the footstep of Feinstein, right? She's trying to like die in office. Like, why is Biden in office? For that matter, these people need to retire. This is senior abuse. And Pelosi, by the way, has the best stock trading record that beats any hedge fund managers.
She's a market genius, Carl. You doubting her ability to read the market? She's the greatest investor of all time.